The forest was quiet but not peaceful. Strange birds with glowing eyes made sharp cries from the high branches. The air was heavy, as if the night itself was waiting for something to happen. A lone man walked slowly between the tall silver trees. His boots pressed against the soft ground, and every step sounded louder than it should have. He had traveled far that day. His water was almost gone, and his small pack felt heavy on his back. But what bothered him most was the silence. No human voices. No sound of home. Only alien noises that made him feel like he was being watched. The man stopped near a ridge and looked down. Below him, the forest opened into a small valley. At the center was a lake. It was not like any lake he had seen before. The water glowed with soft blue light, as if stars were hiding beneath the surface. Mist rose from it and drifted into the air, curling between the trees like pale smoke. He felt drawn to it. Tired and thirsty, he thought maybe this water could help him. But he also felt fear. Water that glows was not natural, and in this world nothing that looked beautiful could be trusted. Then he heard it. A splash. The man froze. He crouched low and hid behind a tree. His heart beat faster as he peered through the leaves. Someone was in the lake. At first he thought it was another human. But then he saw her skin. It shimmered faint silver under the glowing water. Lines moved gently across her arms and back like living tattoos. Her hair floated around her shoulders, longer than any he had ever seen, and it shone faintly like strands of light. She was not human. The man's breath caught in his throat. His instinct told him to run. But his eyes would not leave her. She moved with a strange grace as if the lake belonged to her. For a moment he almost forgot the fear and just stared. Then everything changed. The woman suddenly turned her head. Her eyes glowed bright green and they locked on his hiding place. The man's stomach dropped. He had been seen. For a second, silence filled the valley. No birds, no wind, no sound of water. Only her voice. Human, she said. Her voice carried across the lake like a whisper and a scream at the same time. Please, help me. The man's mouth went dry. He wanted to move, but his body would not obey. She rose slightly out of the water. Her face was desperate, but her eyes burned with fire. They stole my clothes, she cried. Her voice shook, breaking the still air around them. Please help me before they return. The man did not know what to say. He stepped out from behind the tree, but slowly, carefully. His hands stayed open at his sides, showing he meant no harm. Who are you? He asked, his voice low, almost shaking. The woman looked around as if afraid of being heard. She moved closer to the edge of the lake, but never left the water fully. No time, she said quickly. Scavengers. Cruel ones. They laughed. They took my ritual clothes and left me here. If they return and see me like this... She stopped, her voice breaking. The man felt a cold wave of unease. Scavengers. He had seen their signs before. Strange marks carved into trees. Bones left behind. He thought they were only stories told by travelers, but now, maybe the stories were true. Why me? He asked. Why ask a human? Her eyes fixed on him again. She did not blink. Because only a human can help me. You do not fear their tricks the way my people do. I can see it in you, please. The man's mind raced. This was madness. He should run, leave this place before the scavengers returned. But something in her voice made him stay. It was not only fear, it was hope. And it was aimed at him. Before he could answer, the forest gave a warning. A branch snapped in the dark. Heavy footsteps crunched against the earth. Low voices laughed from the shadows. The man's blood turned cold. The scavengers were here. He looked back at the woman in the glowing lake. She held his gaze, eyes wide with terror. Please, she whispered again. If they catch me like this, I am lost. The man's hands clenched into fists. His heart pounded. He had a choice. Run away and survive, or step into a story that was no longer his alone. The voices grew louder. Shapes moved between the trees. The scavengers were close. The man took a deep breath. The night seemed to lean in, waiting for his choice, and then he stepped forward. The man stood at the edge of the glowing lake, his heart thundering in his chest. The alien woman's green eyes never left him, but behind her desperate gaze he saw fear, real fear. The sound of heavy footsteps came closer through the silver trees. Laughter, low and cruel, rolled through the mist. The scavengers were near. The man clenched his fists, his mind screaming at him to run. But his feet refused to move. Something inside him held him there. Maybe it was her eyes. Maybe it was the way her voice shook when she begged for help. Whatever it was, he stayed. "Hide," the alien woman whispered. "Do not let them see you yet. They think humans are weak, but they do not know your mind." He crouched low behind a fallen log just as shapes appeared between the trees. The scavengers. There were 3 of them. Their bodies were tall and thin, skin stretched tight like pale leather. Their faces were long, with jagged teeth that gleamed when they laughed. Each one carried sharp spears made from bone and metal scraps. Their eyes glowed faint yellow, scanning the lake with hunger. One of them held something in its clawed hand. The man's stomach twisted when he saw what it was. Strange glowing fabric, thin and shimmering like liquid fire. The alien woman's clothes. "Look," one of the scavengers hissed, shaking the fabric in the air. "The proud one still hides in the water. Afraid. Helpless." They laughed, harsh and cruel, their voices echoing across the valley. The woman stood taller in the lake, but she did not step out. "Give them back," she said, her voice sharp, though it trembled. "You mock what you do not understand. Those clothes are sacred," the scavengers jeered. "Sacred? To us they are trophies. You should thank us for letting you live at all." The man crouched lower, his breath shallow. Every instinct told him he could not fight them. They were stronger, faster, armed. He had nothing but a stick in his own hands, but then he remembered her words. "They do not know your mind." He looked around quickly. The log he hid behind was dry, easy to break. Stones lay scattered by his feet. The mist around the lake was thick, hiding shapes. Maybe he could use the forest itself. One of the scavengers leaned close to the water, sneering. "Come out or stay forever trapped in your shame. Either way, you are ours." The alien woman's eyes flicked toward the man's hiding place, just for a second. A silent message. She was trusting him. His chest tightened. Why him? Why put faith in a stranger, a weak human? He didn't know, but he couldn't let her down. He picked up a stone, weighed it in his hand, and hurled it into the trees on the opposite side of the lake. The crack of breaking branches echoed like thunder. The scavengers froze. What was that? One snarled. Their glowing eyes darted toward the sound. Another prey? Another hissed, gripping his spear. They moved quickly toward the noise, leaving only one behind. The woman seized her chance. "Human," she whispered sharply. "Go!" The fabric is in his hand. "Take it while you can." The man's blood ran cold. Was she serious? Steal from a monster that could rip him apart with one swipe? But she was watching him, trusting him. His hands trembled, but he moved. Low, fast, silent. He circled around the scavenger who was left behind. The creature muttered to itself, sniffing the air, staring into the trees where its companions had gone. It never looked back. The man crept closer. His breath felt like fire in his throat. Every step was a battle against the urge to turn and flee. Closer. Closer. Now. He lunged forward, snatched the glowing fabric from the scavenger's claws, and rolled into the mist. The scavenger howled, spinning around. Its yellow eyes locked on him. "Human," it screeched. "A filthy human." The man scrambled to his feet, clutching the fabric. His heart pounded like drums of war. He bolted toward the lake, the scavenger's footsteps thundering after him. The alien woman reached out from the water. "Throw it here!" He hurled the fabric toward her. It shimmered through the air and landed in her hands. Relief washed over her face, but it lasted only a second. The scavenger crashed into him, knocking him to the ground. The man hit the earth hard, the air forced from his lungs. The creature's jagged teeth snapped inches from his face. He shoved back with all his strength, but it was like pushing against a wall of stone. The alien woman shouted something in a language he didn't understand. The water around her began to glow brighter, pulsing with light. She clutched the fabric to her chest, and for a moment, the scavenger hesitated, snarling in confusion. That pause was all the man needed. He grabbed a thick branch from the ground and swung it with desperate strength. It cracked against the scavenger's head. The creature shrieked and staggered back. The man crawled away, gasping for air, his body shaking. He had survived, barely. The woman pulled the fabric around her shoulders. Her green eyes blazed with power now, brighter than before. She looked at him, her voice strong again. "You risked your life for me," she said. "Now you see why I needed you. Humans are not weak. You are different, and they will never forgive you for what you just did." The man swallowed hard, still trembling. Then what happens now? The forest answered for her. The other two scavengers were returning and their voices were furious. The night was about to get darker. The man's chest rose and fell fast, his breath sharp in the cold night air. His arm ached from the strike he had given, and his whole body shook from fear and exhaustion. Yet when he looked toward the glowing lake, he saw her standing tall now. The alien woman no longer looked helpless. The sacred fabric clung to her body, glowing faintly like woven starlight. Symbols shimmered across it, moving like living fireflies. With each breath she took, the glow grew stronger, as if the clothes themselves gave her strength. She stepped out of the water at last. Her bare feet touched the ground lightly, almost floating. When her green eyes met the man's, he felt something strange, like she could see not only his face but deep inside his soul. "You did not run," she said softly. "You fought when you had nothing. That is why I chose you." The man forced a bitter laugh, though his throat was dry. "Chose me? I didn't feel chosen. I felt nearly dead." Her lips curved into the smallest smile, though her eyes stayed serious. "That is human truth, is it not? Fear, pain, weakness. Yet still you move forward. That is what the scavengers do not understand," he frowned. "And you? Do you understand?" Before she could answer, angry roars echoed through the forest. The two other scavengers were back. Their heavy steps shook the ground. Branches snapped. Their glowing yellow eyes cut through the mist. The woman turned sharply, her glowing fabric wrapping tighter around her. "They come with rage," she whispered. "They will not leave until one of us lies dead." The man's stomach sank. "Then we're already lost." She looked at him, steady and calm now. "Not lost, not yet. You have something they cannot fight." The man blinked. "What? I have nothing. No weapon, no armor, just—" He held up the broken branch he had used earlier. "This," but she shook her head. "Not that. Your mind." The scavengers broke into the clearing, snarling with fury. One slammed its spear into the dirt. "Human thief!" it roared. "You dare touch what is ours?" The other raised its voice, deeper and harsher. "We will eat your bones, and your heart we will keep for the fire." The man felt his knees weaken. Their teeth glistened, their claws ready. He could never fight them directly. Not in 1,000 years. The woman leaned closer to him, her voice like a whisper carried on the wind. "They see only strength of flesh, but you, human, you make strength from nothing. That is why I need you. Think, use what they cannot." Her words dug deep. He swallowed, forced his mind to work even while fear gnawed at him. He looked around the clearing, the glowing mist over the water, the sharp rocks near the ridge, the dry leaves covering the ground, and then he saw it. The scavengers stepped closer, circling, laughing in hunger. But the man suddenly stood taller. His fear was still there, but beneath it burned something else, resolve. He looked at them straight. "You want me? Then come take me." The scavengers roared, charging forward. The man sprinted toward the ridge. His boots slammed against the ground. He heard their heavy steps chasing him, felt their hot breath behind his back. His chest burned, but he kept running. At the last second, he leapt aside and grabbed hold of a thick vine hanging from a tree. His weight tore it free. The scavengers, blinded by fury, did not see the sharp rocks ahead. With a thunderous crash, they tumbled down the slope, slamming against stone. The forest shook with their screams. The man fell hard onto his knees, gasping. His whole body trembled, his hands raw from gripping the vine. But he was alive. The alien woman appeared beside him, moving silent as wind. Her green eyes shone brighter than before. "You see," she said. "Strength of mind. They cannot fight what they do not understand." The man looked at her, sweat dripping down his face. "I didn't win," he said. "I just bought us time. They'll come back," she nodded. "Yes, and stronger. They are beasts. They never forgive. But now they know the truth. A human is not prey." Her words hit him harder than the fall. Not prey. For so long he had felt small in this strange world, weaker than everything around him. And yet here he stood, still alive. The woman placed her hand lightly on his arm. Her touch was cool, calming. "You ask why me," she said softly. "Why a stranger? Now you begin to see. Humans are different. Dangerous not because of strength, but because they never give up." The man opened his mouth to answer, but then froze. The forest around them had grown silent again. Too silent. Even the birds had stopped. The woman's face darkened. She looked to the sky. Above the silver trees, a red light flickered in the mist. A deep, unnatural hum filled the air, vibrating in his chest. Her voice dropped to a whisper. No, it is too soon. They should not be here yet. The man followed her gaze, his throat dry. Who? He asked. She turned her glowing eyes toward him. The ones even the scavengers fear. The hum grew louder, shaking the earth beneath them. The red light spread wider in the sky. The man's heart pounded. Whatever was coming, it was not scavengers. It was something worse, and this time he knew. No trick, no stone, no broken branch would be enough. The forest trembled with the strange red hum. It was not like thunder, not like wind, not like anything the man had heard before. It was deeper, heavier, as if the ground itself carried the sound. The alien woman stood still, her eyes fixed on the sky. The glowing fabric around her shimmered, reacting to the strange light above. She whispered, "They should not be here." Not yet. The man's chest tightened. "Who are they?" he asked. Before she could answer, a roar split the night. The scavengers were climbing back from the rocky slope, their bodies scratched and bleeding, but their rage alive. Their yellow eyes glared with murder. Human, one of them screeched, saliva dripping from its teeth. "We will tear you apart." The man stumbled back, his breath shallow. He had tricked them once, but they would not fall for the same trick again. This time they would not stop until his bones cracked in their jaws. The alien woman stepped in front of him. Her voice rang sharp. "He is under my protection. Touch him, and you break the law of the stars." The scavengers laughed, a horrible sound like knives scraping bone. "The law? The law is dead here. Only strength matters." They spread out, circling. Their spears glinted in the red light from the sky. The man's hands shook, but his mind raced. He had nothing to fight them with. Nothing but his wits. He whispered quickly to the woman, "Can your clothes protect you?" She shook her head. "Not without the ritual. And I cannot perform it here." "Then what do we do?" he hissed. She looked at him with steady eyes. "We survive. With your mind. With my strength. Together." The scavengers lunged. The man grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the trees. They ran, branches whipping at their faces, the red glow from the sky following them through the mist. The scavengers howled and gave chase, their heavy feet pounding like war drums. The forest was a maze of silver trunks and glowing vines. The man's heart pounded as he darted left then right, trying to lose their hunters. But the laughter of the scavengers echoed behind them, closer with every step. "They smell fear," the woman warned. "You cannot outrun them forever." The man's eyes darted wildly. He needed something, anything to use. His gaze caught a patch of dry leaves piled high against a hollow log. An idea sparked. "Over here," he hissed. They dove into the log, crouching low in the darkness. The man's hand shook as he pulled a small piece of flint and steel from his pocket. His last tool from home. He struck it hard. Sparks flew. The dry leaves caught quickly, flames licking upward. The woman's eyes widened. "Fire, smoke," he whispered. "They hunt with smell. Let's blind them with it." The fire grew, smoke curling thick through the log. The scavengers burst into the clearing a moment later, snarling, sniffing, their eyes glowing. But the smoke spread fast, swirling with the mist. Their noses twitched, confused. Their growls turned into frustrated hisses. The man and the woman crawled low, slipping out the other side of the log and into the shadows. They moved fast, silent, leaving the scavengers coughing and clawing at the smoke behind them. When they finally stopped to breathe, the man's chest burned from the smoke, but relief filled his veins. He had fooled them again. The woman looked at him with wonder. "Fire, you control it as if it is your ally." He gave a weak smile. "Where I come from, fire has always been our ally. And our weapon." But their relief did not last. A low boom shook the ground. The red light above grew brighter, spreading wider across the sky. The hum turned into a steady pulse like a giant heartbeat. The trees glowed red, their silver bark reflecting the strange light. The woman's face turned pale. "They are coming. The scavengers are nothing compared to them." The man swallowed hard. "Then tell me, who are they?" She looked at him with fear in her eyes for the first time. "Hunters of the stars. They do not kill for food or for sport. They kill because it is their design." The man's throat tightened. "Machines?" She nodded slowly. "Not alive, not dead. Made long ago before my people or yours. They search for weakness. And when they find it, nothing survives." The hum grew louder. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Through the trees the man saw it at last, shapes descending from the red light. They were tall, metallic figures, their bodies sharp and black, their eyes glowing like fire. The scavengers, still coughing from the smoke, froze when they saw the machines. For the first time, fear flashed in their yellow eyes. The woman grabbed the man's arm. "Listen to me. The scavengers hate you. The hunters will erase you. But I believe you are different. If you live tonight, if you outthink them, then you will change everything." The machines landed with a crash, the earth shaking beneath their weight. Their glowing eyes scanned the forest. One turned its head toward the man, and its voice came like metal grinding against stone. Human detected. The man's blood turned cold. The hunt had only just begun. The clearing burned red with the glow of the machines. Their black metal bodies stood tall, each step pressing deep into the earth. Their eyes glowed like fire, scanning everything with cold, lifeless focus. The man's breath came sharp and quick. His whole body screamed at him to run. These were not beasts of flesh. These were something worse. Machines, hunters, built for one purpose only: destruction. Beside him, the alien woman gripped the glowing fabric tighter around her body. Her face was pale, but her voice stayed steady. "They have seen you. They will not stop now. Run if you must, but know this: running does not save anyone. Not from them." The scavengers stood frozen in the mist. For the first time, the man saw fear in their yellow eyes. One hissed, its voice trembling. "The hunters, they should not be here." The machines turned their glowing eyes toward the scavengers. A metallic voice echoed across the clearing. "Unstable flesh. Low priority." Red beams shot from their arms, burning into the ground near the scavengers. The creatures shrieked and scrambled back, their proud cruelty gone in an instant. The man swallowed hard. "Low priority?" he whispered. The woman's eyes locked on him. "They hunt the strongest first. But you, human, you are not strong. You are different. And they know it." The nearest machine stepped forward, its heavy body crushing leaves and stone beneath its feet. Its glowing eyes fixed on the man. "Human identified, threat level unknown. Testing required." The man's chest tightened. He gripped the broken branch still in his hand. It was nothing compared to their weapons. Nothing at all, but something inside him snapped. He thought of her words: humans are not prey. If he ran, he would prove them wrong. If he fought even with nothing, he would prove them right. He straightened his back and stared at the machine. His voice shook, but it was loud enough to carry. "You want to test me? Then come." The alien woman's eyes widened. The scavengers hissed with disbelief. But the machine only tilted its head, processing his words. Then it stepped forward. The ground shook with each metallic stride. The man's heart thundered. His body screamed to flee, but he forced himself to think. He could not fight with strength, only with his mind. The mist still hung thick over the lake. The glowing water pulsed faintly, almost alive. The machines did not care for nature, but maybe nature could still be his weapon. As the machine raised its arm, preparing to fire, the man shouted, "Now!" The alien woman understood without question. She threw her hands forward, and the glowing fabric around her released a burst of light. The mist blazed white for a moment, blinding the machine's glowing eyes. The man hurled his branch not at the machine but at the edge of the ridge where loose stones clung to the cliff. The branch struck and the rocks gave way with a roar. A shower of boulders crashed down on the machine, forcing it to stagger back. The earth trembled with the impact. The scavengers shrieked in surprise. One cried out, "The human fights the hunters."
"Madness!"
The man gasped, his body shaking with the effort. He had bought only seconds, but seconds were enough. He grabbed the woman's hand. "Move!" They sprinted through the trees, the red glow chasing them. Behind them, the machine's voice rang out, cold and endless. Threat level rising. Pursuit engaged. They stumbled into another clearing, their chests burning from the run. The woman pressed her back to a tree, breathing hard. "You faced it with nothing but a stick. Why?" The man leaned against the tree opposite her, his face pale but his eyes burning with fire. "Because if I don't fight, I'm already dead." For the first time, she looked at him not as a stranger, but as something more. Her voice softened. "That is why humans are feared. Not because of your weapons, not because of your strength, but because even when you are weak, you still choose to fight." The man gave a tired smile, and I'm guessing that's exactly what scares them. Her green eyes glowed brighter. "Yes, you are the variable they cannot understand, and that makes you dangerous." Before he could answer, the forest shook again. More machines were landing, their glowing eyes cutting through the mist. The scavengers burst through the trees, panic on their faces. One hissed, pointing at the man. "Him, the hunters follow him." The others snarled. "Then let the machines take him. We will escape while they feed on him." But the machines ignored the scavengers completely now, their glowing eyes locked on the man alone. Human, threat confirmed, the man's blood froze. He had proved himself too well. The woman stepped closer, her hand gripping his arm. "You must understand, this is only the beginning. They will chase you until one side falls. And now you are no longer prey. You are the hunted." The machines raised their weapons, the red glow burning brighter. The scavengers fled into the night, their laughter gone, replaced with pure terror. The man stared at the metal giants closing in, his body trembling but his eyes steady. He whispered half to himself, half to her, "If I'm hunted, then I'll make sure I'm the most dangerous prey they've ever seen." The night erupted with the roar of machines. The true war had begun. The forest burned red as the hunters advanced. Their glowing eyes cut through the mist like knives, and their heavy steps crushed roots and stone beneath them. Each movement was slow but sure, like a predator that knew its prey had nowhere left to run. The man's chest heaved as he backed away. His stick, his tricks, none of it seemed enough now. These were not beasts of blood. They were machines. Cold, tireless, unstoppable. Beside him, the alien woman tightened the glowing fabric around her shoulders. Symbols rippled across it like living fire. Her face was calm, but her voice was sharp. "We cannot fight them here. The forest is theirs now. We must escape." The man forced a breath. "Escape where?" She met his eyes. "To the old tunnels. Beneath the ridge. My people built them long ago before the hunters came. If we reach them, we may hide." The hunters stepped closer, weapons glowing red. The man's hands shook, but his mind raced. He had survived this far, not with strength, but with thought. He needed one more trick, something to buy time. He glanced at the lake. The glowing water shimmered under the red sky. An idea sparked. "Follow me," he whispered. He ran toward the water. The woman hesitated for only a moment before chasing after him. The hunters roared, their metallic voices echoing like thunder. Human fleeing. Pursuit engaged. The man skidded to the edge of the glowing lake. He grabbed a heavy stone and hurled it into the water with all his strength. The splash sent waves rippling across the surface, breaking the glowing calm. For a second, the hunters froze. Their glowing eyes flickered, scanning the strange reaction in the water. That hesitation was enough. "Now," the man hissed. He pulled the woman's hand, dragging her into the trees on the far side. They sprinted through the silver trunks, branches whipping at their faces. Behind them, the hunters recalibrated. Their voices boomed. "Unstable terrain detected. Redirect pursuit." The ground shook as the machines moved again, crashing through the forest with relentless force. The woman led the way now, her bare feet silent on the earth. "This way," she urged. "The ridge is close," the man's lungs burned. His legs screamed with each step, but he pushed forward. The hunters were faster, stronger. He could hear their metal bodies tearing through the trees behind them. Every second mattered. Finally, the ridge appeared ahead, a wall of stone rising out of the earth. At its base, half hidden by vines, was a dark opening. "The tunnel! We're almost there!" the woman cried, but the hunters were close. Too close. Their red glow lit the trees behind them. The man's chest tightened. If they reached the tunnel too slowly, the machines would see and follow. He had to stop them somehow. "Go!" he shouted, pushing the woman toward the opening. "Get inside!" She turned, her green eyes flashing. "Not without you," he shook his head. "I'll be right behind you. Trust me." For a moment she hesitated. Then she gripped his arm tightly and whispered, "Do not die, human. You are not allowed." With that, she vanished into the tunnel's shadows. The man turned back, his body trembling. The hunters crashed into the clearing, their glowing eyes locking on him. Human detected terminate. He swallowed hard and forced himself to stand tall. His mind screamed for escape, but he held his ground. He picked up another stone, small and useless, but he gripped it like a weapon. The hunters raised their arms. Red beams charged with deadly light. The man hurled the stone, not at them, but at a thick, rotten tree leaning over the ridge. The stone cracked the bark, and with a groan, the massive trunk toppled forward. The tree crashed between him and the hunters, sending dust and splinters into the air. The machines fired, but their beams hit the falling wood, burning it into flame. Smoke and fire filled the clearing. The man turned and dove into the tunnel's mouth. Darkness swallowed him. He fell hard on the cold stone floor, coughing from the smoke. The woman was there, pulling him deeper inside. Her hand was firm, her eyes glowing faint in the dark. "You did it," she whispered. He coughed again, his chest on fire. "No, not yet. They'll follow." She shook her head. "Not here. These tunnels confuse them. The walls are lined with metals they cannot read. For now, we are hidden." The man leaned back against the wall, every muscle aching. His hands were raw, his throat dry, but he was alive. The woman sat beside him, watching him in silence. Finally, she spoke softly. "You risked yourself again. Not for gain, not for power, only so another could live. That is why I was told to find a human. That is why I believe in you." He let out a weak laugh. "Believe? I've barely kept us alive." She shook her head. "No, you have done more. You have shown them what they fear most, that even when hunted, a human refuses to fall." Her words sank deep, warming him even in the cold stone tunnel. For the first time since he had landed on this world, he did not feel like a stranger. He felt necessary. But then from far above, the ground shook again. The red hum echoed through the stone. The hunters were still searching. The woman's voice dropped to a whisper. "They will not stop. They never stop. And if they find this place, the end will come." The man clenched his fists, his eyes narrowing in the dark. "Then we make sure they don't." The tunnel stretched into blackness ahead of them, ancient and unknown. Whatever waited inside was safer than what hunted them outside. Together, they stepped into the shadows. The escape had only just begun. The tunnels stretched deep into the earth, silent and cold. The man and the alien woman moved carefully, their footsteps echoing against the stone. The air smelled of dust and old metal, and the glow from her ritual fabric was the only light guiding their way. Behind them, the forest shook with the hunters' heavy steps. The red hum seeped even through stone, faint but endless. The man knew they would not give up. Machines did not tire. Machines did not lose patience. They would search until they found him. The woman stopped at an archway carved into the rock. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly in answer to the light of her fabric. Her green eyes lingered on them with sadness. "My people built these halls long ago. We thought they would protect us. But the hunters learned. They always learn." The man ran his fingers across the marks. The symbols pulsed softly under his touch, almost alive. "Then why bring me here?" She turned toward him. "Because here you must learn the truth." Her voice was steady, but her eyes carried a weight he had not seen before. They entered a wide chamber. At its center stood a massive stone pillar, cracked with age but still strong. Around it lay broken fragments of machines, rusted and ancient, as if a battle had taken place here long ago. The man's chest tightened. "Someone fought the hunters here." The woman nodded. "Yes, not my people, humans." His eyes widened. "Humans here?" She stepped closer to the pillar, placing her hand on the carvings. "Long ago, before my world fell, others like you came from the stars. They were not strong, not fast, not many, but they fought the hunters. They did what no other could do. They confused them. They defied the order written into the machines. They became something the hunters could not predict." The man stared at the broken machine parts scattered around the chamber. His throat went dry. "And they won?" Her voice dropped. "For a time, but not forever. The hunters adapt. They always return. That is why I was sent to watch the skies, to wait for the day another human would come. And now here you are." He stepped back, the weight of her words pressing down on him. "So that's why you trusted me. Not because of me, but because of them." Her eyes softened. "No, I trusted you because of what I saw. You are not only one of them, you are yourself. And still you chose to fight." Before he could answer, the ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The hunter's hum grew louder, closer. The woman's eyes hardened. "They have found the tunnels. They will break through." The man clenched his fists. His body ached, his lungs burned, but he felt the fire inside him grow stronger. "Then we fight here, just like the ones before me." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Not as prey, not as victims, but as something new. The chamber shook violently. Cracks split the stone walls. From the darkness of the tunnel behind them, a red glow spread like fire. The hunters were coming. The man picked up a jagged piece of broken machine, sharp like a blade. It was heavy in his hands, but it was something. His heart pounded, but his voice was steady. Let them come. The alien woman's fabric flared with light, brighter than before, as if her strength had returned in full. She stood beside him, tall and unbroken. They do not understand you, she whispered. And what they do not understand, they fear. The hunters emerged, black metal bodies filling the chamber. Their glowing eyes burned red, scanning the two figures who stood against them. Their voices echoed like thunder. Human. Identified. Anomaly confirmed. The man raised his weapon, his body shaking but his eyes unflinching. That's right, he said. And I'm not alone. The woman's glow spread across the chamber walls, the ancient symbols shining brighter than ever. The hunters paused, their systems flickering as the chamber itself seemed to awaken. The man stepped forward, his voice echoing through the chamber. You think you know what a human is, but you don't, you never will. The hunters advanced, weapons charging, the chamber erupted with light.